Okay, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Milton City Council for Monday, March 21st, 2011 to order. And I also, before we get started, want to introduce Nick Tucker, who was the winner of Mayor of the Day. It's been a couple months ago?
Yes.
And Mr. Tucker spent the day with me and some of our city staff and some of our police officers, and we were just very impressed with not only his knowledge and questions and his viewpoints, but also just how interested he was in our local government and national government. So I invited Nick to come back and help me run a meeting. So Nick's here tonight, and we're pleased to have him. So, and I'm asking Nick to read this.
Would the city clerk please call the roll and make general announcements?
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and Nick Tucker. I will be happy to call roll for the March 21st, 2011 regular meeting. However, I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. Additionally, those attending the meeting who would like to provide public comment, either during the public hearing or during the call for public comment, you are required to complete a public comment card prior to speaking on an item. There is no public comment for consent agenda items or items under first presentation. Those called to speak will be taken in the order that the speaker cards were received by the city clerk's staff prior to the beginning of tonight's meeting. All speakers will identify themselves by name, address, and organization if applicable. When you hear the bell, you have 30 seconds to complete your remarks. The City Council may allow public comment on either an agenda item or general public comment from a representative of such an organized group or association, provided, however, that such an individual shall file a notarized affidavit that they have the authority to speak on behalf of said organization on a form provided by the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. Demonstration of any sort within this chamber is prohibited, so please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outbursts, or dialogue with any person speaking. Please show the same respect to the person speaking that you will expect to receive yourself. Anyone in violation will be asked to leave. As I call roll, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Joe Lockwood.
Here.
Councilmember Karen Thurman.
Here.
Councilmember Julie Zahner Bailey.
Here.
Councilmember Bill Luss.
Here.
Councilmember Bert Hewitt.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Longoria.
Here.
Councilmember Alan Tart.
Here.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Nick Turner will lead us.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, buddy. Okay, we just want to welcome everybody here tonight, and in case anyone's wondering, there's a couple of people that have a birthday today. I don't know if anybody can tell, but happy birthday to Sudi, and happy birthday to Bert. And we'll just
Mayor, just for the record, my wife's birthday is today.
Oh, my gosh.
we'll get her a balloon.
And I hope you sent her flowers or something since you're here with us.
We're doing that online right
That's
now.
good. You could sing for
Sudi
her.
got flowers from her husband.
Would you like to tell her to turn on the TV and we'll all sing to her?
I'll tell you what you can do, Mr. City Attorney. You can just take one of these balloons home with you.
I'll make a deal on this one.
And act like you brought that. All right. Will the city clerk please sound the next item?
The next item is approval of meeting agenda. This is agenda item number 11051.
Okay. Do we have any items to be considered?
Mayor, I've got two that I'd like the council to consider tonight. One is to add under new business a resolution amending Resolution 09-0166, appointing a member to the City of Milton Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, withdrawing the name of Sabrina Moore and adding a board member for District 4, as well as I'd like to add an executive session to discuss land acquisition.
Okay. Are there any other items the council may have? Okay. All right. Do I have a motion and a second?
Mayor, I move to approve the meeting agenda as read into the record by staff.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion by Councilmember Tart, second by Councilmember Hewitt. Any discussion? although we're not. Yeah. Okay. Do you want
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull two items from the consent agenda. Item number 11-053 and 11-054.
I think, and I may be out of order here, probably need to do that, either vote on the first and the motion and second, is that correct? And then,
Yes, and then we just identify them. Yeah, we'll need to make a motion to remove this.
okay, so do we want to keep the same motion and second and vote on that, or do we want to see if Councilmember Tart wants to rescind that motion and then
Right. just to
make a motion
withdraw
to
the
pull?
second,
Yeah.
Okay, and
Councilmember,
what do we
are you okay
want,
with it?
what do we want done?
I think Councilmember Lutz would, we want to specify the items, the two items you want
I'd like
to
to
pull out of.
pull two items from the consent agenda. Numbers 11-053 and 11-054.
Are they being
Are
moved
you
this
asking
first
to pull them
presentation?
off the agenda, or are you moving them somewhere else on the agenda?
Wherever it's appropriate. They relate to the two items under new business with the other two IGAs.
We can absolutely move those to new business if you'd like. The reason there are two in new business is because there was going to be a fairly substantial discussion on those two items. It's this way by design, but if you want to pull them both off the consent agenda, put them under new business, I'm fine with that.
Do what you want to do?
So then, just let staff's recommendation be the two items that I read into the record, as well as to move agenda item 11-053 and 11-054 from the consent agenda to new business.
Can I ask one other thing? Can we do the appointment up in the reports and presentations to move that up a little bit, or will it go pretty fast?
I think we've got it fast.
Okay, then we'll just leave it wherever you have it.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the meeting agenda, moving agenda item 11-053 and 11-054 under new business, and adding the executive session that was recommended by staff previously.
And the board.
And
appointee.
add the board appointee to the Parks and Recreation from District 4.
You got that.
Second.
Okay, the new motion, by Councilmember Tart, second by Councilmember Hewitt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, I'm going to let Mayor Nick read the public comment. Yeah, go start.
Public comment is a time for citizens to share information with the mayor and the city council and to provide input and opinions on any matter that is not scheduled for its own public hearing during today's meeting. There is no discussions on items on the consent agenda or first presentation for the public or from council. Each citizen who chooses to participate in public comment must complete a comment card and submit it to the city clerk. Please remember that this is not time to engage the mayor or members of the city council in conversation. When your name is called, please come forward and speak into the microphone, stating your name and address for the records. You have 5 minutes for remarks. Is there any public comment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Tucker, there is. Our first public comment comes from Mr. Jim Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is James Brown, 785 Brookwood Lane, here in Milton, Georgia. So I have come before you a couple times in the last 2 or 3 years to ask for stuff, looking for your approval and for your resources to help with service products and the like. This time I'd like to actually propose to do something for you. 23 years ago, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints built a temple down in Sandy Springs, and for the last 18 months it has been going through a major remodel. Prior to its rededication, the temple will be open for public viewing, and we would like to invite the mayor and all the members of the council to a VIP event to be able to view the temple and to have a meal with us at that. We've invited some thought leaders and some VIPs throughout the entire region, and we'd like to invite you to be involved. That includes in the invitation members of your family or your spouses or members of the city staff if you'd like to. Also, there's additional information that's found for the public at atlantamormontemple.org. People can make reservations to be able to go through. The open house will be open from the 13th through about the 26th, I think. So there'll be 2 weeks where people can go take it to you. And so I actually have, it's okay to approach the bench there to hand out invitations to each member of the council. If that's okay, Mr.
I believe so, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the date?
Starts on the 13th. The date for your specific VIP event is actually in the enclosed invitation. I also included a business card, so if you have questions about things, as that date comes. The intent is that you would be involved in this particular event. If you can't make that, you're invited to come whatever time you can throughout the open house. And so if you have any questions about that, I've included my business cards so you can contact me directly. Also, it's on the website. There's lots more information than we can disclose. So I wanted to do it as a thank you for the good efforts that you've done in the past for the church, and to recognize you for the assistance that you've given to not only our organization but the community. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other comment?
Yes, sir. There's one more. Mr. Nick Tucker.
And what I think I'll do, Mayor Tucker has some comments he wants to address to the council and staff, is have, if we can get somebody to move the microphone down, have him come out into the audience and give your public comments. So, Nick, if you want to walk down there and right by Jason, and we'll let you address us formally.
When he announces it, mayoral. You never can tell.
Put that on there.
Okay. I just have actually first.
Excuse me 1 second, Nick. Do you remember what you said during the announcement about please stating your name and address for the record?
Oh, sorry. My name is Nick Tucker, and I live at 560 Tullamore Way, and phone number. And my phone number is 77.
That's good. Go ahead with your comments.
I'm good?
You
Okay.
can give us your number later so we know who to pose our questions to, right?
My questions, I have just a few questions. I have a question for Mr. Lucas about roadways and potholes through Providence and Birmingham Highway. I understand that Birmingham Highway is not, through Birmingham Highway is not very, we don't deal with that in here. But I know that Providence you can, and I heard about the circle that when I start driving, that I will probably in Providence that there will be a new way around that, and that you're working on that. And also, I just wanted to say that I think that you should use the tax money to actually fill in those potholes, because they're big potholes and they can be dangerous, and we can definitely use some of that tax money to fill those up. I also have another question. I live in Tullamore Way, and recently, I don't know if it was extra material they were paving roads, and I don't know if it was extra material or considering this road being more damaged than my road, but they came in and they paved one road of my neighborhood, but not my road in my neighborhood. And I just wanted to know if that was extra material or, just more damage to that road, because it is the main road and there are a lot more cars go on the main road. Also, I wanted to know the timeline between detaching from Fulton County, because I know that a lot of us are in favor of detaching from Fulton County, and I just want to know what we're doing to help. And I just wanted to thank for Milton and everybody here, because this is a great city and I love to live in it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we applaud our... Yeah. I'm sorry. We don't normally applaud our public speakers, but I just have to. I can't stand it.
Thank you, Nick. And as you know, during public comment, there's no back and forth conversation between the council or members of staff, but we can have Mr. Lucas respond back to you in email, or we'll make sure we have that information on those questions.
Thank you.
Okay, no more public comment?
No, sir.
Okay.
Moving to the consent agenda, will the city clerk sound the items?
Yes, sir. Our first item is approval of the March 7th, 2011 regular minutes, agenda item number 11-052. Next is approval for the execution of a contract between ADP and the City of Milton for the installation, implementation, and recurring monthly fees for a Human Resources Information System, HRIS. This is agenda item number 11055. And our last consent agenda item is approval for the execution of a memorandum of understanding agreement regarding state use of Homeland Security grant funding on behalf of certain local units of government among State of Georgia, Georgia Emergency Management Agency, GEMA, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI. This is agenda item number 11056.
Is there a motion and second?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion by Councilmember Tartt, second by Councilmember Thurman. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Moving to the reports and presentations, will the city clerk sound the next item?
We have two reports and presentations being given to Stacy Inglis, the Finance Director, so I will read them simultaneously. The first is presentation of plaque for the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for FY 2009 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And next, presentation of certificate for the award of Financial Reporting Achievement for fiscal year 2009 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. This is being presented by Joe Lockwood, Mayor.
Okay. Where's Stacy? There you are. The Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada awarded a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of Milton for its Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2009. It is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting. Attainment of the certificate represents a significant accomplishment by our government and its management. The CAFR program recognizes those governments that go beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles to prepare CAFRs that represent the spirit of transparency and full disclosure. This was the second year the City of Milton has received this prestigious award. So at this point, I'd like to ask Ms. Stacy Inglis to step forward. If Mayor Nick would come down here with me. Congratulations. Didn't want to be in the picture. This is kind of representative of what great team we've got.
Yeah, between Stacy and I, we had to touch black hair. I'm gonna add a little color. No, you had a little color.
We're good. Yeah, we're good.
Thank you, Stacy. And I want to also say, before we move on, just how proud I am, and I know I speak for the rest of the council, of not only Stacy and all her hard work and just, you know, by achieving this, makes the city of Milton look really good. But I also want to thank all of our staff. I think we just feel very fortunate the caliber of staff we have and team members here. So it's pretty exciting when you see a fairly new city and of our size with the caliber of people that we have working with us. So not only thank Stacy, but thank the rest of our staff here too. All right. Mayor Nick.
Will the clerk sound the next presentation item?
We've given our 2 presentation items, sir.
Okay.
There are.
We moved the,
Yeah.
we moved the appointment.
No, we didn't.
No.
We did?
No.
Okay, so we're ready to read the zoning.
Okay. Go
There
ahead.
are-
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
There are no items under first presentation or public hearings. Move on to the zoning agenda. Will the city clerk please read the zoning rules and sound the next item?
At the second regularly scheduled meeting of the month, the mayor and city council consider a zoning agenda. These items include rezoning petitions, modifications of zoning, use permits, and associated concurrent variances, in addition to ordinances, resolutions, and text amendments. The petitions will be heard in the sequence listed on the posted agenda. I would like to acquaint you with some of the rules and procedures for this meeting. The applicant and all those speaking in support of an application will be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present the petition. The applicant may choose to save some of the time for rebuttal following the presentation by the opposition. Since the burden of proof is upon the applicant will be allowed to make closing remarks, provided time remains within the allotted time. The city clerk staff will be keeping track of time and will inform you periodically of the remaining time for your presentation. Those called to speak will be taken in the order that the speaker cards were received by the city clerk staff prior to the beginning of tonight's meeting. All speakers will identify themselves by name, address, and organization if applicable before beginning their presentation. The Planning Commission heard the rezoning agenda items and recommendations have been forwarded to the mayor and city council for consideration and disposition. In addition, the application shall not submit material to the council during the meeting unless requested to do so. All material that you wish to be reviewed by the council in consideration of your application should be submitted to the staff of the Department of Community Development to be included in the normal distribution of packages to the council. When an opponent of a rezoning action has been made within 2 years immediately preceding the filing of the rezoning action being opposed, campaign contributions aggregating $250 or more to a local government official of the local government which will consider the application, it shall be the duty of the opponent to file a disclosure with the governing authority of the respective local government at least 5 days prior to the Planning Commission meeting. A violation of relevant state statute constitutes a misdemeanor. Therefore, if you have contributed $250 or more to a council member and you have not filed a disclosure prior to the Planning Commission meeting, the city attorney strongly suggests that you have someone else speak for your point of view. Our first zoning item is RZ 11-01, to adopt the corrected City of Milton zoning map as indicated on the January 1st, 2011, as shown on current zoning map dated January 2011. Agenda item number 11045. First presentation was on March 7th, 2011. This is being presented by Ms. Lynn Tully.
All right. This is something that we're going to try to do every year. We're going to try to certify our zoning maps every year with each year's changes to zoning so that we're not more than any 12 months behind. I don't know if you all know this, but we adopt the zoning map by reference. So it's not actually in the code, but it is adopted by reference and then made public. We haven't certified these zoning maps since we initially became a city, so it's been several years since then. And we've been working, the official maps, believe it or not, are still the hand-drawn maps that we received from Fulton County, although we're keeping up with them by GIS. And so this will actually be our first GIS-created zoning map. And we've attempted to be extremely diligent in making sure that all of the zonings have been captured on this map. We believe that it is the correct map and current to date as of January 1 of this year. Obviously, the latest and greatest rezonings haven't been reflected on this map, but will be reflected in next year's version. An up-to-date unofficial map is kept on the website, so we will have up-to-date maps on the website, but they're not official. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. They're not the official map. The official map will be the certified map, and then as it's amended every year. So, this, as I said before, this is our first version, our first attempt at this, and I believe we've gotten it right, and I will recommend this to you all for approval. This was at first read at our at our, help me out, I'm drawing a blank, Sudie, first meeting in March.
March 7th.
Thank you, March 7th meeting. And so it's ready for a vote at this time. I want to thank Robin McDonald, who is particularly diligent in keeping up with these for so very long. And bless her heart, she has had so many of these that she's just kept in her head as history as much as on the paper. And I do want to be sure that we acknowledge the fact that she's worked really hard on that. So, thank you.
Are there any questions of staff?
Council.
Just one point, and Lynn and I have been in touch about this. It's just making sure that the Birmingham Crossroads, because there's a combination of some C1 that's unconditional and some that falls under mixed use, we just want to make sure that that's reflected in accordance with the Birmingham Master Plan. And I think Robin's obviously done a very diligent job in just making sure that that's reflected with both of those.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
First, we will hear from all those speaking in support of RZ 1101.
Okay. Do we have any?
There are no comments, sir.
No comments at all. Okay. Well, we don't have any here. So.
The public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion?
Do we have any discussion or comments from council? I just want to, again, thank staff and Robin for time and hard work. So, Councilman Bailey?
Just another point, just for a matter of record, is that Lynn had confirmed that if for some reason, if there's something that is slightly askew, and again, we don't anticipate that, but that those could always be modified in the future, and that this would not cause a property to be more expansive than what it was intended. It would just have to be modified in the future. Would that be true, Mr. City Attorney? Is that a reasonable reflection? Right. So if there happened to be a mistake, it wouldn't cause a property to be rezoned. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there a motion and second?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve zoning agenda item number RZ 11-01 to adopt the corrected City of Milton zoning map as indicated on the January 1, 2011, as shown on current zoning map dated January 2011.
I'll second that.
Okay. We've got a motion by Councilmember Lusk and a second by Councilmember Longoria. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? That's unanimous.
There are no items and unfinished business. Moving on to new business with the city clerk. Will the city clerk sound the item?
First item is approval of a revised intergovernmental agreement between the City of Milton and Fulton County Board of Education for the use of Cogburn Woods Elementary School. This is agenda item number 11057, and I believe Chris Lagerbloom, our city manager, is taking this
I'm going to take this one, Mayor and Council. I'm going to take now 4 of them. I guess they'll be sequential in order. The 2 that are on the agenda plus the 2 that come from the consent agenda. It's always a city manager's worst nightmare to have your staff person not here the night that item gets pulled from the consent agenda, and we get to talk about it. So it's a good thing I know a little bit about these items. So what I want to kind of make one global presentation, if that's okay, and then if we need to vote on them individually, that makes sense. You've actually got the 2 that were initially published in new business are redos. And they're redos from items that you have already adopted on a previous agenda. You all adopted them. We thought life was great. We got ready to sign them the next day, and we got notes back after Fulton County sent those IGAs to their risk manager that they needed to make changes. So we got some of those comments back, and some of them we were able to live with, some of them we didn't. It's been an ongoing negotiation process to get the IGA with something that both sides, both the school board and our staff, as well as our attorney's office, could agree to. So we're bringing these first two back that deal with Cogburn Woods and Hopewell Middle School. You all left a meeting earlier in the year thinking that you had done this, and we thought that you had done this until Fulton couldn't live with the agreement that you approved, which is why I put these back in new business so I could say that, so y'all didn't think we were going crazy and we're passing IGA after IGA after IGA to the same school. So that's what these first two are under new business, with the same explanation that you had before as to what the use would have been that you all approved. The difference really where we got hung up after the risk manager looked at it was the level of insurance coverage, not only that was required by the city, that the school was going to require of the city, but more importantly the level of insurance coverage that they were going to require for third-party vendors that may be working through the city. So that was where it got hung up a little bit. The levels weren't in there that the risk manager could live with, but they weren't either at a level that we could live with them. So we worked, like you do in any good contract or IGA negotiation, to come up with a place that both parties, I think, are comfortable. And I don't want to put words in Ken's mouth, but we've gotten to a place that we are comfortable with the requirements. The reason that we left two in the consent agenda tonight is because those were going to come forward tonight anyway on the consent agenda, but you all haven't taken action on those before. But we were at a point in time where we could make sure that we got something on a published agenda that worked for both us and the Board of Education. So the two that have been moved off the consent agenda do not deal with Cogburn Woods or Hopewell Middle School. They are initial IGAs that bring us into compliance with Birmingham Falls for the use of the facilities there. There's a field and some indoor facilities, as well as the longer, and I think probably the neatest of the four, intergovernmental agreement for the use of the 2 acres between Crabapple Crossing and Northwestern. It's a much longer term. We've gone out to 10 years on that one with the ability to use it. And that's more the creation of a community park type setting where the Board of Education had land. We obviously had some need in that area for community parks. So that truly is a win-win. So that's the one that's a bit different. But the first three deal with the facilities: Cogburn Woods, Hopewell Middle, Birmingham Falls, and then also 2-acre parks. 4 independent items. I'll be happy to answer, maybe at this point, if I answer questions on any of them, and then we can go through a voting process individually. Or however you want to do it, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. First off, do we have any questions, either like Chris said, individually or as a whole, and then I'll confirm with our city attorney. Can we vote on all 4 of these items if we list them under the motion, or do we need to vote on them separately?
I tell you, just for purposes of the record, I would request a vote on them
Separately. Okay. So right now, I'll just ask any general questions for any of them. Bill?
Yes, forgive me for not picking this up sooner when they first came around. In general, absolutely in favor of the intent of all 4 of these agreements. These are facilities that all of the property owners in our city paid for, or in our county paid for. And I'm glad to see that we've finally taken action to have the city in general use these facilities. The one issue or question that I have is in all 4 of these agreements under utilities. And very succinctly, it states the city shall pay all water and electricity charges for the maintenance of the exterior school facilities. Then the Board of Education is going to pay for everything interior. The question comes up on the exterior facilities in paying for all of these charges, is that for every day of the year, no matter if the city uses these facilities or not?
What the intent, Bill, was, and I'll have to find it in here to go back to it, but the intent is that the city would pay for, I think you're on the bottom of page.
Number 5.
Number 5, utilities. The intent was that to the extent that we made improvements, whether that was that we put in an irrigation system or field lighting, to the extent that we improve the property, we would pay the utilities attached to that improvement. And that's, I guess what I'm going back to here is maybe, if you go back to
Exhibit.
page 1, I'm on the Birmingham Falls one. Can you all go to the Birmingham Falls one with me?
Right.
In background information, where it says the playing field and defines that as the exterior school facilities, that it's not talking, that the intent of the agreement is not to talk about every facility that is exterior to the school. For the purpose of this particular agreement, the exterior school facilities is the playing field. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah, actually, I'm on another one of the agreements, but the school facilities is a capitalized term, which means it's specifically defined within the agreement. And on the one I'm looking at, it is simply the multi-purpose field, the baseball, softball field, the track, outside basketball courts, and the tennis courts, and that's it. That's the school facilities. And that's what we will be responsible to pay for with respect to the utility charges.
I think Councilmember Lusk has a good point, so I guess we need to look back to you guys, Ken and Chris. Are we covered, with the intent there, or do we need to
I think the question
rework something?
is our obligation to pay for them throughout the year. I think the answer is yes.
Correct.
The way this
Or
region-
do we pay for the utilities on an event, based on the events that we have?
That's not the way this would be interpreted. It's not the way it reads. So to the extent your question is right, it's good. It's a good one.
But to the extent that we have the responsibility to pay, we have the responsibility to regulate as well. I mean, these are agreements that go into place that give us the exclusive use to those facilities for planned and programmed activities, and that's one of the nice things that comes with this. Is this doesn't put us any longer in a line just hoping nobody's using it kind of situation. This allows us to actually conduct recreation programming at their facility.
It's not the point that's totally in favor of the agreements here. It's just whether or not we're going to pay for all of the utilities out there every day of the year, or if it's just based on an event occurring.
And what I'm hearing you say, Chris, is that we'll be paying the utility, but then we'll have total control of the facility and what events take place.
That's right.
So you say we are paying them on an annual basis, 365
I don't
days.
read this to say that we pay only in July.
You're exactly right. Yeah, that's right.
So yes.
Okay.
I think all means all.
And Mr. City Attorney, would that be typical, you think, with this type of agreement, the use
Yeah,
that we have?
I think that's the whole point of this, and that's the way it was done that way. Now, I understand your point. If it's not event-driven, then we may be paying a little more than Milton is necessarily getting to use it, but that may, if we do it any other way, it might add a level of complexity to it that we don't want to have.
Right. Now,
Breaking down the utilities by
totally in favor of user fees and user taxes. And, if you think this is equitable, certainly gaining access to a resource out there that's been available to us for several years. It's been out there, hasn't been available to us.
And one that's ready to go. I mean, one that with minimal work is ready to
Right,
go.
right.
Which rectangle fields, diamond fields, are hard to come by.
And
It
I
take
guess
a while.
the point would be, even if we pay just a little bit more in utility than absolutely necessary, we're still getting a much better deal on having the use of the facility for our citizens. And as Councilmember Lusk said, with user fees and things like that, it should cover all our costs for the city.
Right. It's low-hanging fruit, and it's a good partnership.
Sure is.
We have, in other jurisdictions I work in, we've done some of these government, school board sorts of situations, because obviously there are facilities that need to be exploited more than they are, which we're doing. This is very typical as far as the breakdown of fees we're doing here. This is in line with what I'm used to.
Karen, I think you have.
Yeah, I've had one question specifically about the park property between Crabapple Crossing and Northwestern. It says there it can be terminated without cause at any time, with just 90 days written notice, and that they will reimburse us $20,000 if they terminate it within the first 2 years. How much do we expect those improvements to actually cost the city? And is $20,000 enough to cover it so that we don't put a whole lot of improvements in and end up in a situation where the school board changes and we no longer have use to it?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's one of the biggest things we struggle with in trying to get to an agreement on this, is how much, I mean, because it came through the first time with, it basically said that on a 90-day termination, we just, for cause or no cause at all, they had the option to terminate the agreement within 90 days. So we said, great, we've got what appears to be a 10-year contract. In reality, what it is a 90-day contract.
Right.
Because you could say 10 years all day long, but 90 days means 90 days. So, we felt as though we wanted to put something in there, and this was a sticking point, and this, I think still the benefit and the risk is weighted towards this is the right thing to do for the community and for that area and for our citizens. But we wanted to have them have some skin in the game. But about as far as we could get them to go at this point was at least attaching some money to an early termination.
Do we have any
clause.
idea how much the actual cost of it is?
Yeah, I was getting to that. That was the question that you asked, and I'm going around the world to get you an answer. But somewhere $100,000, $110,000 is what's budgeted for it. Obviously, we have costed it to the extent that we can cost a flat piece of property that we're putting a flat type features in that probably has some picnic pavilions and some grills and that kind of stuff. A good community park. So best estimation I have at this point.
So that's per site, right?
This is only
This
one
is-
site.
This is just the one specific
We're not
site.
doing a park at any other site but this one.
Alan?
So let me repeat to you what I think I heard. So you're saying that we're going to put $20,000 worth of improvements into this property, and they can then say, we're not going to enter in this agreement anymore, and the penalty would be for them to give us $20,000 back?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for...
I didn't say that, but
Okay.
what I did say is the improvements to this property are estimated to be somewhere between 100 and, let's say 100, let's call round numbers, somewhere between 100 and $120,000. The intent of the agreement is that we will have a 10-year exclusive use of this property, and that doesn't mean that we are precluded from another 10 years. They just will only go out 10 years at a time. So we will have this property to use for whatever programming we want to do on it for 10 years. If for some reason in the first 2 years of us putting all this work into the property, if in the first 2 years they decide to exercise their 90-day cancellation option, they will then have to reimburse the city $20,000 to opt out early. After that, it was hard to get them to go that far. And frankly, what we said is we still think it's the right thing. We still think the risk is good. We'll put it in front of the council and see what they think.
So how is that different than the way I framed it?
Because you used
You
20,000.
use 20,000.
20,000 into it and
Get
and
20,000
they opt
back.
out, they're going to pay us 20,000 back.
It's 100.
I mean, I'm saying 100,000.
You made it sound better than what it
Oh,
is.
yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I had it in my mind the right way. Okay, so we could potentially put $100,000 worth of improvements in the property, and their penalty for telling us that we can't do this anymore would be to give us $20,000 of that
That's right.
back.
That's right.
And after 2 years, they don't have to give us anything.
That's right.
That's right.
So we have to look at basically the value of a year's worth of use,
You do.
2 years worth of use, and then after that.
And then ultimately put that on a risk scale and say, yeah, you're right. We passed a contract, and you're right. They got a 90-day opt-out clause. But if we put that on kind of a risk-reward scale, what's the likelihood that
in 2 years and a day.
So if we were to look at how the Fulton County's treated us in the past, to weigh in on that risk, do you think that that's commensurate? I mean, that's,
This is the school board.
Well, we're dealing with DOE.
hey,
Yeah.
it's Fulton County.
Okay.
I don't know. If you ask them, they'll tell you.
Guilty by association.
I think we get treated even worse by the Board of Education, but, that's beside the point. I guess my issue is, for IGAs of this sort, dealing with any part of Fulton County, have we normally been treated fair?
We've never had that issue.
I don't.
Okay.
And I think, and Mr. City Attorney and Chris, you could probably, the reason that the board, it'd be nice to say if we spend $120,000 that if they cancel it, they'll reimburse the $120,000, but that's not something they've got budgeted, or, maybe that wasn't their
Right.
plan for the property.
I understand
so
that.
They couldn't take that risk.
And the likelihood really is pretty low, but that'd be a great return on an investment. They invest nothing, they spend $20,000, you get $120,000 worth of improvements. I'm just,
And how much of those
What
improvements
they've
would
invested
benefit?
is the land. And the other thing to consider, too, is that if this turns into a park, because today what it is abandoned house. And if it turns into a park, let's just say, and y'all have to make the policy decision here, because I'm not going to try to convince you it's worth it or it's not. But let's just say in 2 years and a day, they say, guys, out, 90 days. At some point, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden the wrecking ball comes in and the park feature goes away either. So, there still would be an opportunity. Now, it would limit our ability to maybe have soccer games on the flat play space on Saturday. Might do that. But the facility itself doesn't go away either. So, is it perfect? No. Has this been back and forth and back and forth and back and forth? Yes. I'm here tonight to recommend, and I do believe it's the right thing for the area and for our citizens, and that the risk on the risk and reward scale is reasonable. I'm here tonight to still recommend that you support these for IGAs,
But don't you think there'd be a lot less risk of them canceling on us if they had a little more skin in the game?
Oh, I do.
But that was my point. They probably don't want to put,
I
they're
know.
not
Yeah,
planning
that
on doing
I had a
that.
hard time getting $20,000.
Yeah, they're not, that's probably stretching for them. So it's
Well, but that would make sure that they give us the full 10 years if they had to pay it.
I think you'd have a revolt on your hands,
Yeah.
local taxpayers,
Yeah.
if they reneged or canceled the contract.
Okay.
Probably
Well-
several people out here that
Julie, you have one point, then we need to, we've got
Yes,
a
and
few
I-
more items, and we got a meeting coming up
I'm just
here.
going to say is that, one, I do support, obviously, the IGAs. I think there's been some great questions posed. With regards to the school's intent, I think the school's intent and the principles are that this will be a long-term project, because I know that they've wanted to see the capital improvements, and the school board has not been able to fund that. So at least at the very local level, the principals that are part of it support. Obviously, they don't make the decision on the road, but I think that helps to mitigate that risk. No question, if we could get more from them, that would be better. Can you just comment, though, that I think that you and Cindy Bonacci have worked diligently along with our city attorney to try to get to this point. Do you think there was any likelihood that they would be willing to put more into that particular clause? Or would it not allow this
To the
IGA?
extent that, and we were up until the last minute, screaming, no, we're not taking it to the council. So I've already tried that, honestly, to say, we're not going down this road.
Okay. One other quick question.
I
Sorry.
think it's as negotiated. Obviously, you can negotiate anything forever.
Right, but you don't believe that they'd be willing to...
It's been negotiated strongly.
Okay. Another question, go back to Councilmember Lusk's point about the exterior school facilities. Is there any chance, given that that would be a 365-day amount that we'd be paying for water and electricity charges? I mean, obviously, some of the events that those schools have include fall festivals and things of that nature, so I'm assuming that we might have some increased electricity charges during some of their events, and it sounds like this is going to have us paying for those. My question, I guess, to the city attorney would be, would we want to have any more clarity as to what the word exterior references? And it may just be that I'm not seeing that definition. I mean, is there any way that it's going to include all the electricity for the lights in the parking lots, or is it just exterior as it relates to the fields?
The way,
It says playing field. It's defined, the external school facilities is defined as the playing field.
And what page?
Of course, I don't, that's on the title, on the first page, under background information, under B. Of course, I don't know how you would do that. I don't know if they have a different meter for every single part of the.
I don't know
they do?
legitimately
Okay.
if you can, they do have separate meters?
yeah, I think in each agreement, it's going to be defined a little differently because obviously the facilities are defined. But
Right.
I'm very comfortable. I mean, on the one at 1360 Cogburn Road, which is the one I'm looking at now, I mean, the term school facilities is defined very clearly, and we're responsible for those water and electricity charges only for those.
So tied specifically to the fields, as
Yeah,
long as
yeah.
it couldn't be construed or misconstrued for anything else? Okay, thank you.
And again, back to the point we talked about earlier, even if, we pay for a day or two of electricity that we're not using, that the school's
Okay.
using, it's still a much better
As long as in
value
each of those you're
for the
comfortable
city
with the
to have
exterior.
the availability of that.
I am, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Okay, since we've got several more items and we've got a meeting that's going to take place here at 7, I'm going to go to the first item on new business, agenda item number 11-057, the IGA between Milton and the Cogburn Woods Elementary School, and see if we have a motion and a second on that item.
Mayor, I'll put forward a motion to approve new business, approval of a revised intergovernmental agreement between the City of Milton and Fulton County Board of Education for the use of Cogburn Woods Elementary School, agenda item number 11-057.
Second the motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, I'm going to move to the second item under new business, the revised IGA between the City of Milton and the use of Hopewell Middle School.
Mayor, I'll put forth a motion to approve the revised intergovernmental agreement between the City of Milton and Fulton County Board of Education for the use of Hopewell Middle School, agenda item 11-058.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Thurman, second by Councilmember Lusk. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, I'm going to move to the IGA between City of Milton and for the use of Birmingham Falls Elementary School, agenda item number 11-053. Do I have a motion and a second on that item?
I'll make a motion for us to approve agenda item 11-053.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hewitt, second by Councilmember Tartt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That one's unanimous. I'm going to move to agenda item number 11-054, approval of the IGA between the City of Milton and the 2-acre park located between Crabapple Crossing and Northwestern Middle School. Do I have a motion and a second on that item?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 11-054.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Tartt, second by Councilmember Bailey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Mayor, could I jump in just real quick?
You sure
I've got one
can.
housekeeping item now I'd like y'all to do, if you wouldn't mind, is if somebody would be willing to make a motion and get a second and some type of a vote that is something along the lines of any IGA previously adopted by this council that conflicts with the 4 that you all have just adopted is rescinded and repealed, use whatever words you want to use, but that's
Okay.
So
a request
moved.
to the city attorney to just get it on the record.
I have a motion. You want to word it, or you want to just
I'll
record
make
what
a
Chris
motion
said?
that any previous IGAs with Fulton County have been, Board of Education have now been rescinded if they're in conflict with the ones that have been passed today.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Thurman, second by Councilmember Bailey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? That was unanimous. Okay. All right, let's, City Clerk, please sound this next item.
Approval of a resolution amending resolution number 090166, a resolution appointing a member to the City of Milton Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, withdrawing the name of Sabrina Moore and adding a board member for District 4. This is presented by Council Member Bert Hewitt.
Good evening, fellow council members. A few weeks ago, Mrs. Moore asked to be stepped down from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Her schedule just wasn't working out, so she asked to be removed, and Mr. Wallace Britton had contacted the city a while back and wanted to be involved in the city and specifically in the Parks Department. Mr. Britton lived on Red Road with his wife since, I believe, 1979, and he's recently retired from the excuse me, the National Park Service as the Southeast Region's Recreation and Conservation Division's chief. He's got a undergraduate degree in Parks and Recreation Administration and a master's degree as well. So he's lived in the parks world his whole professional career. Has a lot of experience in park planning, trails, funding, all the kind of stuff we need. So I would like to ask that y'all approve the nomination of Mr. Wallace Britton to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board this evening.
Okay.
Is there a motion and second?
Yes, Mayor Tucker. I would like to put forward a motion to support the approval of Wallace Britton, Resolution Number 09-01-66, to the City of Milton Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion by Councilmember Bailey, second by Councilmember Thurman. Is there any council discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. And I'm going to step down and I'm going to ask Mr. Britton to come forward and also Mayor Nick to come down there with me. And for those in the audience that are wondering who my assistant here is, this is Nick Tucker, and he had the, I guess I had the honor of having Nick as mayor for the day. And we asked him to come back and help with the meeting. So Nick's done a great job. He even got up there and had his public comment and the cards all filled out with questions for the city. So he's on top of it. But you'll step down there with me to read that.
Oh, one day would be great.
Why don't you tell everybody
I do solemnly swear and affirm
I do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully perform the duties of
that I will faithfully perform the duties of
Parks and Recreation Advisory Board member
Parks and Recreation Advisory Board member
of the city,
of the city,
and that I will support and defend the charter thereof,
and I will support and defend the charter thereof,
as well as the Constitution
as well as the Constitution
and laws of the state of Georgia
and laws of the state of Georgia
and of the United States.
and of the United States.
Yes, sir.
That's going to be a long presentation. I didn't know about that. That's good timing.
And for Mr. Britton, and as well as all their other volunteers, I just sincerely thank you for your service and help. It means a lot. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to reports now. Just give a second. Does Mayor Nick have any comments or anything you want to talk about with your experience for being mayor? What did you enjoy the most when you were mayor for the day to ride around in a police car?
Oh, that day, I went on, after I did it, I went on the website of City of Milton, and I started, Mr. Joe Lockwood quoted that he knew I meant business when he saw me in my suit, and at first when I saw him I thought I was overdressed, but apparently I was fine. But the best thing was definitely the police car, because that was great. And I think the best thing was that I actually got to talk with the mayor and share my ideas. And he actually would answer my question. He would answer my questions, and if I didn't understand something, he would really go through it with me. And I had a lot of questions that my friends wanted me to ask him. But it was great, and I think this was even greater. This was really fun, and thank you for letting me be here.
All right. Okay, do we have anything else on council? Anyone have a report? Councilmember Bailey?
I just want to make a quick statement. I've known Mr. Tucker for a long time, and it's impressive to have you with us. And before the meeting started, he said that his mom and dad had really wanted to be here, but he would prefer to be here by himself because he was going to independently handle this evening, and I was relatively impressed with that, as I know his mom and dad were. So thank you, Mr. Tucker.
You know, as I look out in the audience and see my mom sitting there, I know how it feels. But they're watching. They can watch you online.
Yes.
Sure. All right. Move on to staff reports, and then I have a question. We go to executive session. Since there's a 7 o'clock meeting here with Luke, can they go ahead, or we'll go into executive session?
We're going to have to just go fast.
Okay.
It'll be fast, but we need to.
Yeah. Do you have any reports, or do you want?
We have one 30-second update out of DCA related to our comp plan, and we'll save the rest of them until the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll make it less than that. We got our letter today approving our comp plan, letting us know that we have met all the minimum requirements, and there are a few comments. We'll get those addressed and be back in front of you with an adoptable comp plan.
Okay. All right. And for the audience, thank you, Len, and our plan commission and comp plan. We have an executive session to discuss land acquisition tonight, and so we will have to go behind closed doors for just a few minutes. We'll try to keep it very brief and then come out and close this meeting down so that the next meeting can get started. So do I have a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of land acquisition?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Longoria, second by Councilmember Hewitt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. We're going to leave Mayor Nick in charge of the audience.
Yeah, I think legally, Ken, Mayor Nick's going to stay out here, so
We're going to leave him in charge out here. Nick?
come on in here.
I wouldn't know. Oh, I know. My last presentation was before that. 2 weeks ago. Like, whoa. So I assume technology never works for now.
Okay, I want to reconvene the regular meeting. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to reconvene. That's going to conclude this meeting. Do I have a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second that we adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I don't know that I voted on reconvening. All in favor of reconvening? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous also. All right.